Welcome back to Reds Fusion LFC, your home for all the latest Liverpool news, transfer updates, and match insights. Today we've got huge stories breaking. Liverpool sending a message to Marc Guehi as rivals circle, a shock move for Alexander. Isak creating a selection dilemma, bold claims about the next Virgil van Dijk, and a massive $116 million headline grabber. Stick around because you don't want to miss this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay updated with every twist and turn in the transfer window. Liverpool send message to Marc Guehi as four clubs plot January transfer hijack. Marc Guehi will have to wait until the summer if the Crystal Palace centre-back wants to complete a move to Liverpool, according to reports. Guhei looked all set for a move to Anfield on transfer deadline day after Liverpool agreed a $35 million deal with Palace. The England international had even undergone his medical ahead of the move, but saw the deal collapse at the 11th hour after Palace failed to sign a necessary replacement. Palace had been hopeful of signing Brighton defender Igor, but he instead opted for a switch to West Ham, which in turn forced Steve Parish to pull the plug on Guehi's exit from the club. Prior to the summer window, Guhei made it clear that he had no intention of signing an extension on his current deal, which is set to expire at the end of the season. And having not cashed in on the 25-year-old in the summer, Palace now face the prospect of losing their club captain for free next summer. The South London club may have held out hope that Liverpool would return to the negotiating table in January to try and get a deal for Guhei over the line. But the Times report that the Reds will not revisit a deal for the centre-back in January and will only sign Guhei on a free transfer next summer. A move to Liverpool is still likely to interest Guhei, who was left angry by the late developments which saw his move scuppered this summer. However, Palace may seek to entertain offers from other parties in January to ensure they recoup some money for their club captain. Reports earlier in the week linked Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid with a move for Guhei, while Manchester City have also been credited with interest. All four clubs could seek to hijack Liverpool's plans and sign Guhei in January for a cut-price fee, which would surely be below the 35 million that Liverpool had agreed with Palace. The three continental giants could also look to strike a pre-contract agreement with Guhei, which would see him join a free when his contract expires in the summer. Guhei will be free to speak to European clubs about a pre-contract agreement when he enters the last 6 months of his deal, but can't enter such talks with a domestic club until the final month of his deal. Liverpool's best starting lineup after Alexander Isak transfer as clear dilemma emerges. It was a record-breaking summer for Liverpool Football Club as the Reds went on a spending spree that saw them shell out over 400 million on new players. The Premier League champions' show of ambition saw them bring in Florian Wirtz and Alexander Isak in separate deals worth over 100 million each. Meanwhile, Milos Kerkez, Georgi Mamardashvili, Jeremy Frimpong, Giovanni Leoni, and Hugo Ekitike were also brought to the club in high-profile transfers. It puts Arne Slot's side in a strong position to defend their league title, yet the Dutchman faces a challenge to rotate his side and keep everyone happy. So what is his best lineup? Echo writers Paul Gorst and Joe Rimmer have their say. Paul Gorst. So if Liverpool were playing in the Champions League final next week with a clean bill of health, who gets the nod following 404 meters worth of investment this summer? Georgi Mamardashvili will provide Alisson Becker with real international class competition for the years ahead, but the Brazil #1 remains the best man for the job in goal. At right back, the pace, power, and tenacity of Conor Bradley is a real option, and Dominik Szoboszlai has shown he can excel when called upon in that position also. But I am going to give new signing Jeremy Frimpong the nod. The Netherlands international can also help Mohamed Salah cause chaos by going on the outside with his blistering pace. We're yet to see what Frimpong can truly do, but I am backing him on the flank. Milos Kerkez is on the opposite flank as he goes about forging a path as Liverpool's left-back for the long term, while Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk at centre-half is about as straightforward as it gets with this particular team selection. In midfield, it's a case of 3 into 2 for me. While Curtis Jones is growing in importance in this Liverpool squad, I still suspect the starting 11 will come down to 2 of either Ryan Gravenberch, Alexis McAllister, and Szoboszlai. It's a welcome headache for Slot to have, but I am going to stick with the first 2, and the Hungary captain can be the first reserve off the bench. It's harsh on Szoboszlai, who has started the season so strongly, but Gravenberch and McAllister's partnership is a must. That means Florian Wirtz operates as the numbered 10 just behind Alexander Isak, who leads the line in place of Hugo Ekitike, who has made a superb start to Liverpool life, it must be stressed. Cody Gakpo is now the undisputed first choice on the left, and Salah, who else, patrols the right side. My team: Alisson, Frimpong, Konate, Van Dijk, Kerkez, McAllister, Gravenberch, Salah, Wirtz, Gakpo, Isak. Chief executives certain Liverpool have already signed the next, Virgil van Dijk. Liverpool saw off strong competition to complete the summer signing of highly rated teenage Italian defender Giovanni Leoni. Liverpool have landed Virgil van Dijk's successor this summer following the arrival of Giovanni Leoni. That is the verdict of Martin Semmens, the executive who helped bring the hotly tipped teenager to Parma last year and helped sanction the sale of the veteran Dutchman to the Reds. Liverpool saw off rival interest to secure Leoni in a transfer valued at 26 million plus additional clauses. They are confident they have recruited one of Europe's most promising young defenders. Semmens held similar faith in the youngster's abilities when he approved his move from Sampdoria to Parma 12 months earlier. The former Southampton chief executive served as CEO of Kraus Group Soccer, Parma's ownership group, until this summer, reports Liverpool.com. Semmens, who was at Southampton when Liverpool paid a then club record 75 kilometers fee for Van Dijk, assumed a comparable position with London City Lionesses last month and expressed his respect for Leoni during a recent interview. When questioned on TalkSport whether the new Liverpool centre-back represents the heir to the club captain, he responded, "Yeah, absolutely for me. We signed him the second year I was there in the summer, and I have a deep love for the likes of Tino Livramento for Southampton and signing these young players." Romeo Lavia. This was the same kind of deal. I think it was clearly the best young centre-back in Italy, if not Europe. And again, we sold him the vision to come to our club to play in Serie A. I think it was 17 when he started playing, and then when the right moment comes, you will go. The view was that they would probably stay there longer than 1 year, but Leoni was such a level, and again I think it highlights Liverpool's ability that they spotted that. There were other clubs in the Premier League that asked me about him, not as an executive for Parma because I'd left by then, and I told them what I thought, and they didn't follow through on it. 5 or 6 Premier League teams asked me. I told them he's as good as Virgil. Liverpool never called me, never asked for a reference, because they've got such an ability to find those players. Top player. Newcastle United were understood to be among the group of interested clubs, with Parma CEO Federico Cherubini admitting, "We rejected a higher offer from Newcastle for Leoni." But plans have changed with Liverpool. I've always said the club wanted to keep Giovanni, and he's always said he'd be happy to stay. We even turned down an offer from Newcastle, which was more advantageous than the one Liverpool eventually made. When the Reds came forward, our plans changed, both because the offer was very attractive and because Giovanni made it clear he was very happy to take advantage of this opportunity. Conor Bradley makes Florian Wirtz admission before difficult night with Liverpool 160-hour man. Liverpool teammates Conor Bradley and Florian Wirtz will go up against each other in Cologne this evening. Conor Bradley is hoping to cause his new Liverpool teammate Florian Wirtz plenty of problems when Northern Ireland take on Germany in a World Cup qualifier tonight, Sunday. The two Reds could come directly up against one another in this evening. Wirtz started on the left for Germany in their surprise 2-0 defeat to Slovakia, while Bradley is expected to again be in at right wing-back for Michael O'Neill's men. Northern Ireland can expect to be digging in defensively for much of the night, but while he is braced for a tough test in that regard, Bradley wants to put Liverpool's 116-meter man on the back foot in the Germans' hometown of Cologne. "Florian's a top player," Bradley said. "There's a reason we bought him for the money we did. He's had a brilliant few years at Leverkusen, and now he's come to us. I think he started the season really well. He's really good with the ball. He's really creative, and he's not scared to take a few risks with the ball as well. So he's a top player, and I know it's going to be a difficult night for me, but hopefully I can make it a difficult night for him too. I think that's probably one of the best bits of my game, especially playing for Northern Ireland, that I can get forward and try to create chances for my teammates. But I know I've got to be disciplined as well. They're obviously going to be really good with the ball, and we're probably going to not have as much of the ball. But we know our game plan, and we're ready." Bradley came into this international break having only made one late substitute appearance for Liverpool so far this season, coming on in the 80th minute of their 3-2 win at Newcastle United last month after a hamstring injury disrupted his summer. That raised question marks over his fitness, but he managed 76 minutes of Thursday's 3-1 win over Luxembourg, with Northern Ireland boss O'Neill taking advantage of a 66th-minute red card for Said Korak to rest a number of players towards the end. "The preseason wasn't ideal, with picking up the little injury that I did, but I feel really good now," Bradley said. "I got 70-something minutes the other night, and I've recovered well, and my body feels good. So hopefully there'll be 90 in the legs for Sunday night. I've just got to play it by ear and see how the game goes." Germany come into the game wounded by Thursday's defeat in Bratislava, their third on the spin after a disappointing end to the Nations League in June. "We were shocked," Bradley said of the players' reaction to the result. "I think you can look at it both ways. I think it's good and bad. It means the group's wide open now, which is good for us. If we can get a positive result tomorrow night, it's only good for us. It was a bit of a shock, but we're just looking forward to tomorrow night now." Liverpool makes final Marc Guehi decision as risky transfer plan emerges. Liverpool has reportedly made a final decision on a potential move in January for Crystal Palace's Marc Guehi, after a deadline day deal collapsed at the last minute. Liverpool will reportedly not make a move for Crystal Palace's Marc Guehi during the January transfer window. Guhei was denied a last-minute move to Liverpool on deadline day after Crystal Palace blocked the switch, reportedly following a threat from manager Oliver Glasner to quit if his captain was sold. Guehi's contract runs until next summer, meaning he could leave on a free transfer. Reports suggested that the Reds would meet with Guhei later this month and could revisit a move for the center-back in January, but would face competition from other clubs, with the England international eligible to sign a pre-contract agreement with teams in Europe as soon as the window opens. According to Paul Joyce from The Times, Liverpool will not bid for Guhei in January and will now only sign the defender on a free transfer next summer. The report states that the Reds are adamant they will not enter the market in January for a player entering the final year of his contract who has no intention of agreeing to an extension. If Guhei remains determined to join Arne Slot's side, Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish could face the prospect of losing the player for free. AEI scenario he has previously described as a financial problem for the club. Parish reportedly discussed Guhei's situation with Liverpool sporting director Richard Hughes after the Community Shield clash in early August, during which he was informed that the Reds valued the defender at $47 million. If the club was to make a move for the 25-year-old in January, it is expected that Palace would want $34 million, $13 million less than what Liverpool was prepared to pay last week. Liverpool faces competition for Guhei's signature from Manchester City and other top European clubs. City's interest in the defender was first reported by Daily Star 2 weeks ago. The Etihad club reportedly planned to pursue the defender in the summer transfer window only if central defenders Manuel Akanji and Nathan Ake left the club. Ultimately, only Akanji departed, joining Inter Milan on loan with an option to make the move permanent for $17.6 million. Sources close to City suggested there was little expectation that Guhei, 25, would leave Selhurst Park before the window closed. Meanwhile, European giants Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich are also reportedly monitoring Guhei, a reflection of both his talent and his contract situation. Liverpool.com says, "This is a bold move from Liverpool. It was expected the Reds would bid again for Guhei in January, but by waiting until summer, the club needs to hope Guhei still wants to join Liverpool. Next summer else it risks losing out on the defender altogether." $24 million Liverpool signing. Given bombshell verdict, Liverpool have a particularly large squad because, like their competitors, the ambition is to compete on all four fronts, and squad depth is massively important to challenge for success. However, the obvious downside is that not everyone gets to play, since you can only field XE players, and there is a limit to the number of substitutions Arne Slot can make. If you find yourself behind one of the players with long-term success in their time at Liverpool, then you're unlikely to get minutes. This certainly appears to be the case with goalkeepers, as the Reds have 3 sitting behind Alisson Becker, which is possibly the worst place to be, given how well known the Brazilian is for his ability. Stuck between a rock and a hard place, when it comes to goalkeeping, it's unlike any other position. Players need rhythm. And since Alisson is taking the spotlight at Liverpool, Mamardashvili is missing out on having time between the posts. As such, it should come to no surprise that he delivered an underwhelming display for Georgia on Thursday when his international side came up against Turkey and lost 3-2. His side's defense were shaky, which is never a great platform for a keeper to succeed from, but he didn't make a single save. 3 shots were taken at the keeper's goal, and all 3 result in a goal. Really disappointing. But since he's had no match experience since preseason, this probably could have been predicted. Rousing the Cop wrote an article on the fans' reaction to his efforts, and a lot of people were concerned by his display, including some questioning why Liverpool signed him in the first place. Of course, one bad game isn't the making of anyone, but the goalkeeper might struggle to find his level if he's left to rot on the bench for most of the season until Alisson gets injured in some way. As such, it might be more beneficial to find a way to loan him out or give him experience by playing in the academy until he needs to be called upon, because this current situation feels untenable. He was initially loaned out last season, while Koaimin Kelleher was the deputy for the Brazilian, but now the Irishman has gone on to pastures new. The Georgian has taken up his role on the sidelines. In time, Mamardashvili will get minutes, and he'll believe he can displace Alisson. But until such a time comes, he's going to struggle. No game time will result in no confidence, making it unlikely for Slot to consider giving him minutes. It's a viscous and never-ending circle until he manages to break through.